All righty. So once again, thank you for being here. On behalf of OneOC, my name is Amanda Green, and I'm the Organizational Development Services Director. Try saying that 5 times fast. With OneOC. And what that means is I oversee our membership consulting and training services for nonprofits. And so you may be asking yourself, what is this person doing talking about skills-based volunteerism? Well, we have some really exciting opportunities for you that we want to share, where you will be able to work closely with the nonprofit organizations in a skills-based capacity kind of through our department. And so with me, I have a couple of other folks from OneOC's volunteer services team. But before I go in and introduce them and kick us off, I did just want to go over a couple of just quick housekeeping items. And I think, you know, we've all gotten really used to being on Zoom in this day and age, but just as a friendly reminder, if you're not speaking, I just would ask if you're able to keep yourself on mute, please. You can certainly use the chat function if you have any comments or questions throughout the session. We definitely encourage that, encourage the participation. And you can contact any of us during the session at OneOC if there's a challenge that you're having kind of with a technical issue or something, and hopefully we can try to resolve that for you. And like I said, we do encourage kind of the interaction throughout, and we will have some time at the end for questions as well. So, but before we jump into today, I just kind of wanted to give an overview of what we'll be doing today. So we'll take the opportunity not only to introduce the OneOC team, but also for each of you to introduce yourselves in the chat. So we'll do that momentarily. We're going to go over our volunteer engagement continuum for a bit more understanding on what types of volunteer opportunities there are for you, as well as a specific overview of the skills-based volunteer opportunities with OneOC. We're also going to talk about our RSVP program and give you a sense of how to fill out a volunteer profile on our Hands-on Connect volunteer management system. And lastly, have some time for Q&A. So I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Ursula Walsh, to share a little bit more about herself and just introduce herself and her team.
Sure, my name is Ursula Walsh. I'm the Director of Volunteer Services, and I've been with OneOC, or formerly the Volunteer Center of Orange County, for over 10 years now. And before that, I was with 15 years with the YMCA. So in terms of nonprofits and capacity building, I like to say I drank the Kool-Aid at a younger age, and you know, luckily I was exposed to volunteering and, of course, you know, helping out your community at a very young age with my family, and that just continued on to a career. So volunteerism has definitely been the heart of both my personal and professional life. Luckily for me, right, I have probably the greatest job that anyone could have, but I'm always looking for more folks that can help support the missions and really, again, grow capacity for nonprofits. Of course, in this COVID-19 pandemic, our organization was activated as an emergency volunteer center and started not only recruiting volunteers, but deploying volunteers to critical needs. Some of those were still hands-on. Some of those were remote and virtual, and that's really what we're going to talk about today is now the next wave. Even though we're still technically in the official red zone for Orange County and California in terms of how we get back to our new normal, we are looking at how we can help nonprofits go back to regular services and how we can maybe change the services and help them grow in different areas. We have, as OneOC, grown immensely. I mean, even the Zoom, as we're looking at today, but that's really because of the staff and the volunteers that we're surrounding ourselves with. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of our team. Kelly, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Ursula. Everybody, good afternoon. My name's Kelly Shannon. I am the manager of the RSVP program. RSVP actually stands for Retired Senior Volunteer Program. I'll go into a little bit more about what I do and how the volunteers help our community when it's my part of the webinar. But I'm very excited to be here and to speak with you all today. I'm not as long-term in the nonprofit world as our wonderful Ursula is. I was lucky enough to move over to nonprofit just under 2 years ago now. And from the for-profit side, side. But I really like the fact that, especially when I'm dealing with volunteers, I get to really blend those that have been in the for-profit but want to give their heart and their soul and their passion back to nonprofits. So I feel I've really, truly got an incredibly great position. I look forward to speaking with y'all today. Thanks.
Oh, Ursula, I'm not sure. Can everybody hear Ursula, or is it just me that can't hear her?
No, can't hear her.
Oh no, we can't hear you, Ursula. Ursula.
Ursula.
Let's see. I'm going to send her a chat here.
Shame, she's chatting on.
Yeah. I know. Ursula?
I really want to know what she's saying.
I know. I'm sure it's really valuable information. She's very wise.
She's so wise. It's a shame that she have to redo all this, you know.
Ursula, we can't hear you.
Okay. I don't know what to do. She needs to call back in maybe, and we could just have Jada introduce.
Yeah, Christine says Zoom bingo. Yeah, if anybody's playing Zoom bingo right now, you're doing well. Okay, she's gonna call back in. While Ursula calls back in, let's have Jada introduce herself.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
That we can.
Hi, I'm Jada Rayfand. I'm the AmeriCorps VIP lead over at OneOC. I'm still pretty new to getting into volunteerism and nonprofit. This is my second year doing this, but pretty much I'm just over at OneOC helping trying to build their already great volunteer infrastructure program. And so that goes with like onboarding new volunteers and really just putting the word out that, you know, volunteerism is valuable in so many ways to the community and to all the nonprofits that OneOC serves. And yeah, I'm excited to learn more with everybody here today.
Thanks, Jada. And let's see if we've got Ursula back. But if not, and in the meantime, I'll actually take us to our next slide so that each of you can introduce yourself. So in the chat, if you just want to go ahead and type in what brought you here today to this webinar, we'd love to hear from you. Does everybody know how to use? Okay, great. Interested in volunteer opportunities, looking for volunteer opportunities. I'm a retired teacher and looking for new ways to serve the community. Awesome. Anyone else? I know there's quite a few folks on this call. We want to hear from everyone. Follow up from the crisis request in March and April, looking to see what I can do, working in healthcare and have a passion for working in the community and improving access to health, looking for other volunteer opportunities, looking to help my community, virtual volunteer opportunities, absolutely. See what's new in volunteer recruitment. Use expertise during the pandemic, absolutely. There are ways that you can do all of these things. I'm so happy to hear that everyone's here and interested. Awesome, mental health and pursuing counseling training, absolutely. And volunteerism can be a great way to kind of fill some gaps in your resume as you're building your career too. So in addition to those of you that are looking to utilize your extra time to help, or you're just inspired by all of the events that are going on in the world, you can take that time to also invest in yourself and utilize volunteering to be able to really boost your own career too. I was a volunteer program manager for a nonprofit leadership group for about 5.5 years. And that was extremely valuable in terms of the experience, because I basically did, you know, the job of a paid person, but I was a volunteer, but I loved it. And that's why I did it for so long, 10 to 20 hours a week. And it definitely prepared me for a career in nonprofit. So you definitely have those opportunities. Want to help from distributing food to designing organizations. Okay, so thank you everybody for sharing. I'm going to turn it back to Ursula to finish sharing what she was sharing previously, since we didn't get to hear her before. and then also have her share our next slide on the volunteer engagement continuum. So thank you for introducing yourselves, everyone. All right, you got to click unmute on your computer now, I think, Ursula. There we go.
I think I'm good now, right?
Yay, we can hear you.
Now I have cars driving behind me, so the phone died, I had to call back in, now I'm in myself, and now we got, of course, speed racing outside the window. So I apologize, but hopefully you can stay with me for a couple more minutes. I just wanted to kind of take you through what our volunteer engagement continuum. For most of you that are on this call, this is probably something that you've been involved in for a long time, but maybe not necessarily seen it from a visual perspective. And really, we're basing our foundation of what kind of services and how we engage our volunteers and what kind of capacity building happens out at those nonprofits, especially in Orange County, on this visual. So let me just talk about kind of where we were and where we're going. So most of us are very familiar with hands-on volunteering, have done some type of show up, have a great time. Maybe you did a beach cleanup. Maybe you were, of course, packing food boxes, especially in this pandemic. Food insecurity has been, again, one of our biggest areas and continues to still grow. And that's fantastic. We need hands-on volunteers all the time. But I know most of the folks that do hands-on volunteering also have a wealth of time and talents that may have not been shared with that particular activity or that nonprofit in general. So there's many volunteers that I get calls from that have actually been volunteering at a nonprofit for many years, but wanted to be able to leverage some of their, again, professional skills. And that's where we look at the skill-based volunteering continuum. Because yes, there's admin and general skills that's needed, like clerical and tutoring and some logistics. But now nonprofits, especially when we're trying to get into that growth mode, that we're getting back into the regular workday and what we're doing with our clients and how we're serving the community, most nonprofits are missing folks in 4 key areas, and that's really technology, marketing, communications, and even legal counsel. I would say probably legal counsel, we get more folks that will, again, initiate that first conversation and say, hey, I've got this background, do you need any help in that area? But especially on the marketing and technology side, and even communications as we expand, especially from a technology side, right, with our social media and those kind of things, most nonprofits just aren't equipped to have a high-level person, someone with expertise and leadership skills, to be able to do that type of skill at their nonprofit. And of course, once we engage volunteers in more of a leadership role, our organizations start to change. And we know that from a board perspective, right? When you're involved in a committee or a task force or an advisory council, you're giving that innovation, that strategic knowledge, that becoming that thought leader. But it's not always happening at those other levels. And so what we're trying to do is encourage nonprofits to use this continuum as a way to keep cultivating, to keep growing our nonprofits by cultivating the right volunteers that are going to support our missions. We all have different passions, we all have different causes that we want to commit to, and really that's the trifecta, right? If we can find the amazing volunteer that has a passion for our mission, that has this amazing experience that can bring that new experience into our organizations, and we can start to thrive. If you can go to the next slide. So when we really focus in on these 3 areas, what ends up happening is we build what I call, friend raising, right? We build our family into our mission, into our nonprofit, into the culture and the basic framework of what our organization is doing and why. And we also have lots of new folks that are giving us these great experiences and feedback, and sometimes it's hard feedback, right? Sometimes, it's that person that's telling us that we're wrong, or we're doing it in the wrong way, or we're not reaching, you know, enough clients in the right way, that we can make that little pivot to do better in our missions and do better with our nonprofits. And we're hoping by doing that, that not only are we building that culture of philanthropy, but then we really have ambassadors that are out there talking about those missions that are so important. You know, it used to be that nonprofits would say, hey, do you want to be on our board? And by the way, you know, it's, you know, $5,000 donation, you know, and we really need your help with this gala, and we really need your help with this mailing. But we weren't getting to know those volunteers, and we weren't getting to know, again, the deep riches of your experiences, which, again, could really supercharge our nonprofits. And now that's what we're doing. We're really trying to, you know, to dive deeper, to build a stronger foundation, which ultimately we all know, again, when it comes to that fundraising, that being able to support that nonprofit is going to come in multiple ways. And we all know that time is the most valuable thing that you can give. I mean, yes, money is important and we all need it, and nonprofits are always looking for additional resources, but your time is so much more valuable than anything else that you could do, especially in these skill-based areas. So we are looking for leadership in a couple of different areas, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later. But one of our programs, and we do have some nonprofits that are looking for board members right now, including Arts OC, including the Wood and Floor, and some others. So we do have some current board positions that, if you're interested, we can talk about that later. We have our disaster cadre, which now we're engaging in, you know, again, in that recovery phase. So we need folks to now start to get together. So we'll talk a little bit about our Thrive program and having groups of folks go out and help nonprofits. So if you'd like to be on a team, that's, you know, that might be an option for you. And of course, just internally in OneOC, when we're helping those nonprofits, variety of opportunities that come up, especially in the technology, marketing, and communication side that we are currently recruiting for. So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm sure I'm kind of preaching to the choir, as they say, because I know you guys have probably been involved in volunteering for a long time. But just know that our goal is not to jump to the funding and say, hey, we need your financial support and write out a check. It's really to tap into the time and talent that Orange County has. And I mean, right now, we're not even 1%, right, tapping into that talent. So if we can even get to 1%, what an amazing opportunity for these nonprofits, again, with your experience, as well as what an amazing opportunity for the clients that they're serving. And hopefully we'll work ourselves all out of a job, right? Hopefully we won't have to do this, because we've solved some of these critical needs and some of these challenges that we're dealing with in Orange County. So thanks so much. Again, you know, lots of opportunities, but we're really glad that you joined the call today.
Thanks, Ursula. So I'll invite folks to once again participate in the chat. What is a skills-based volunteer? Can anyone tell us a definition? Feel free to type your response in the chat box. Give folks a moment to put their typing skills to use. Using your talents for good, absolutely. A volunteer who contributes their expertise, that's right. Volunteer who brings a specific skill set to help others. All correct, all great answers. Allows us to use our skills to help others. Everybody's right on the money, which is awesome. So a skills-based volunteer, as you can see here, is one who offers knowledge and resources to nonprofit organizations in potentially varied roles, including mentor, teacher, office staff, consultant, council, board member, and or advisory council, committee, task force member. The valuable skills-based volunteer, or SBV, as we often abbreviate it here at OneOC, is willing to commit time and best efforts towards the organization's mission and goals. So as you think to yourself, you know, if this is something that you want to go down the path of becoming a skills-based volunteer, just be mindful of not only kind of what your role would be, but also just the commitment required, right? You're basically an extension of that organization. and you represent, their organization, whether it's OneOC or another nonprofit, in just the same way that someone who's a paid staff member would. We have many skills-based volunteers that we work with at OneOC in a variety of capacities. And we definitely know, oh, I'm not sharing my PowerPoint. Can people not see my PowerPoint?
I'm seeing it, Amanda.
Okay, it looks like somebody maybe is having trouble seeing it. So my apologies. I am sending this out later, just so you know. So, but yeah, so remembering that, you're an extension of the organization. And so with us at OneOC, we definitely think about our skills-based volunteers and as a part of our team. There's really no difference between somebody who's on staff versus a skills-based volunteer. They're all part of OneOC. So now we want to take the opportunity to share some of the different skills-based volunteer opportunities that you can take advantage of with OneOC. So these are opportunities where you really are that extension of OneOC in terms of kind of being the skills-based volunteer with us. So there's a few different paths here that you can take. So one is as a coach. So one of the things that we have done in the past, and actually let me provide a little bit of context for this first too, before I actually jump into each one of these things. These are all areas that OneOC does and things that we provide. And so particularly during the pandemic and just with the number of nonprofits that there are here in Orange County, we have, over 5,000 nonprofits here. There's a lot of demand for these types of services in terms of kind of having that coaching support, having, being able to attend training and getting some consulting for a specific topic. And so that's one of the reasons we really want to put this out to all of you to be skills-based volunteers as part of this program. So jumping into each one. So, a coach is somebody that provides organizational coaching support to nonprofits. This could be kind of on a drop-in basis where nonprofits could register for like a 30-minute session with you or a 1-hour session with you, and you could really help them through a topic or area of expertise that you have. So like Ursula shared, there's a lot of organizations that need help with things like marketing, fundraising, technology. If you have or possess those skill sets, we definitely want to talk to you and see if this is something you'd be interested in, and you could be part of our OneOC office hours. So that's, kind of the coaching track. The second is our training track. So as you may or may not know, OneOC delivers about 120 trainings per year. And I would say 95% of those trainings are delivered by skills-based volunteers. So it's not, OneOC staff, it's not people we're paying to deliver training. It's skills-based volunteers who want to volunteer their time and their experience to share, with a group of nonprofit leaders, whether they're kind of entry-level nonprofit all the way up to executive, kind of, in a classroom setting, virtual classroom setting at this point in time with Zoom, but being able to kind of teach a class. And so if you have curriculum that you've developed in the past, or if you're interested in kind of being part of that, you have experience in a specific area. We have classes in 5 different areas. So business and organizational planning, program and volunteer leadership, leadership and professional development, financial management, and we have, some miscellaneous courses like marketing or emotional intelligence or different things like that. And so if you have things that you are interested in sharing with a bunch of nonprofit leaders and want to impact leaders of different organizations at one time, that may be an option for you. So definitely want to talk to those of you that are interested in that pathway as well. And the third area is really around the consulting opportunity. So I have a little bit more information about this on our next slide, but basically we have, all of these services, like I mentioned, on the staff side of OneOC, and particularly with consulting engagements, we get inquiries for things that we don't necessarily have expertise in or things that we don't necessarily have capacity to do. And so we want to provide the opportunity for skills-based volunteers to really serve as consultants on behalf of OneOC and provide consulting services either on an individual basis or in a team-based setting. And I'll share more about our team-based setting. But again, it's things that organizations are coming to us with, like, do you do website development? Can you help me with my marketing strategy? Can you help me write a fundraising plan? Some of these things, we may potentially possess the skill set in-house, but we also want to give the opportunity for folks to use their skill sets and expertise to help the nonprofits that are coming to us with some of these inquiries. And so again, if that sounds like you want to potentially have that type of engagement with one or more nonprofits where you're really helping them kind of at a deeper level through a consulting engagement and doing that work, we definitely want to talk to you as well. So as I was mentioning, there is kind of a way that we can look at our consulting from a team-based approach. And I'm realizing in this full screen, there's kind of a lot going on this slide. So my apologies for the busy slide. But OneOC has partnered with a company called Stiefel, who is very passionate about skills-based volunteering and creating these opportunities and making them sustainable within our nonprofits. And so we've come up with something called our Thrive program. So this is brand new. So first time this is being shared. So hope this is exciting for all of you as it is for us. But essentially what our Thrive program is it's bringing together nonprofits and teams of skills-based volunteer consultants to create kind of sustainable pathways for folks to continue strategically leveraging skills-based volunteers across their organization. So in order to participate in this program, a nonprofit would have to do something called completing service enterprise virtual training. Again, I'm sharing a lot of verbiage, so please feel free to stop me if any of this gets jumbled. But a service enterprise is an organization that is very adept at strategically leveraging volunteers across all levels of their organization. And so it's kind of moving them along that volunteer engagement continuum that Ursula shared earlier, where instead of just utilizing volunteers for one-time or episodic things, like packing food boxes or driving delivery trucks or things like that, it's really ensuring that we have volunteers where we need them kind of at all different levels. So whether it's our front desk receptionist, whether it's working with somebody to ensure that we have a great website, or it's putting somebody on a task force committee or our board to be a strong volunteer leader. And so Service Enterprise is the training program that helps organizations become effective at that. And so we are one of the hubs across the country that delivers this training for nonprofits here in Orange County through a virtual platform. So it's very exciting. So we have organizations that are wanting to receive services from OneOC, from consultants, but aren't really ready. A lot of this is a question of organizational readiness in terms of whether you may be so excited to go in and be a volunteer, but if they're not ready to supervise you effectively or give you a proper project or ensure that everything is kind of scoped out accordingly or you have a good rapport, it's not going to go well. And so being part of this program is you will ensure that sustainability for nonprofits going through this program so that they can continue to effectively leverage volunteers. So nonprofits got to complete that training. And on the flip side, anybody who wants to volunteer in this will be placed in a team. And so it's likely you'll have kind of some different skill sets that you're bringing to the table so we can create some diverse teams and you'll be called a Thrive team. And so we'll put you together and you'll have the opportunity to work with one nonprofit who has gone through this training program to do one of two things or potentially both. You can help them complete their certification so that they can become a certified service enterprise. And for those of you that are interested in that, we can absolutely equip you with the tools to be successful so that you understand service enterprise and that you understand kind of the certification process. Or you can help them with kind of a more holistic project that will require people with different skill sets. So if they have a big thing that they're undertaking, like let's say it's a branding campaign or a marketing campaign, but they need somebody with a technology skill set. They need somebody with a marketing background. Maybe they need somebody who's good at kind of in-house making sure, project management and everything's kind of coming together. You may be placed on a team and you're kind of working together to make this happen. And so we want to ensure that those organizations know how to work with you well. And that's why we're asking them to complete this training. And so in terms of kind of the sustainability of this is we want to make sure that organizations that are going through this program of service enterprise have the chance to already start engaging with volunteers as soon as they finish the training so that they can ensure they're putting the right pieces in place to be successful long term. And so if you like kind of the coaching elements, if you like the opportunity to work with other volunteers, if you like being able to utilize your skill set kind of in the context of other folks' skill sets to help a nonprofit, not just short term, but long term, this may be a great opportunity for you. So like I said, if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we can certainly answer them. But just wanted to share a little bit more about this new program. We're really excited about it. So next I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to talk about our RSVP program.
Thanks, Amanda. It's so interesting. I'll go into the depth of what RSVP is, but it all partners so well with exactly what Amanda and Ursula have been talking about with these skills, the skill set that you all are offering to give to the communities out here. To give you an overview on the RSVP program, it is a retired senior volunteer program. It's a nationwide program that OneOC has been lucky enough to be partnered with for 40 years, actually a little over 40 years now. What it does is take the 55 and plus year old group who bring a great amount of life experience along with a great amount of career experience, which is tying into our skill-based volunteer, and offering those talents out into the community. One of the things that the RSVP program actually brings is allowing that career capabilities to be put into a number of different areas within an organization. As Amanda's talking, it may be something where you can have marketing, you can have talents when it comes to technology. There's so many different areas, and that's exactly one of the things that we bring out with our volunteers. The 55 plus community is at the point in their life where they usually are able to take a little more time and bring back what they want to bring their passions out in the community. But they also they're happy that they're at the point that they can give back now to community. Generally, they've already been a passionate person and staying connected in some ways that they can. We are lucky here with OneOC to actually host 2 different areas of RSVP. I cover the Orange County area, and I also cover the San Bernardino area. Within both of those groups, we have different focuses that we look at. So it can actually speak about food delivery, food insecurity, which is so important right now and so the top on everybody's minds and needs in the community. We have education as focuses, and we also have employment. So it's based off the grants that RSVP is based from and how we begin our programs. Those focuses are given to us to go out into the community and do the most need that we can. Could I have you go to the next slide, please, Amanda? The benefits of becoming an RSVP volunteer are, I think, really quite wide. The personalized matching, we're sitting here talking about your skills base. What that brings is we want and need to know what your passion is, what your talents are, because we do want to put you and connect you to the organizations within my outreach that I get to do so that you're fit perfectly, so that you do feel like you're in an organization that's going to allow you to grow some roots and to actually develop with them. The long-term volunteer is one of the biggest benefits of the RSVP program to an organization. We find a 55 and older year volunteer is somebody who does want to maintain that connection with the organization. And as long as it's a good fit and both sides are happy, everybody will stay and continue to do the best that they can. So that personalized matching is by far and away the #1 benefit that we do. We do offer a supplemental insurance, so that there's a case of any accident that might happen. You do have medical coverage while you're out doing your volunteer work under the RSVP program. It's unusual and something that we do want you to know is offered with every one of our volunteers. Our recognition aspect is great. We have the pleasure every year of taking the RSVP volunteers and highlighting the work that they've done. We use our Spirit of Volunteerism evening, our event that we put on yearly, and we highlight a lot of the different programs, a lot of the different organizations, and bring out those volunteers who have done the work for them. They each get a moment where they're up on a screen that the work that they've done and the amount of hours that they've put in is highlighted and very much appreciated. We also do things where we have volunteer testimonials for somebody who just in a given month may have gone above and beyond for a given station or an organization. We have the Presidential Volunteer Service Awards based off how many hours and years that you have been working. And we have many more things to just highlight. Oftentimes the organizations that you may be at aren't really capable or able to put a lot of dollars towards that recognition. So the RSVP program is really honored and pleased to be able to be the group that comes out and recognizes the wonderful hours and the passion and commitment that you as a volunteer are showing. The community engagement, basically what we're doing right here, right now is community engagement. We're talking to anybody who, as I would be doing with my 55 plus group, who want to be able to go out and utilize their talents in the community. We are most interested in knowing that who out there within this group that's here today might fit the parameters for the RSVP volunteer group. We'd love to put you into the organizations who, for ourselves, we know are most in need for the community for those specific needs. The other thing I want to talk about with RSVP volunteer benefit is you as your hours that you're putting in, and you may already be doing hours at different volunteering. I want you to realize that we at the RSVP program actually follow and report all the hours that you complete when you're out at our organizations. One of the things that you begin to understand is you are giving back to your community with your time, but those hours and that data that we get to report based off those hours makes all of the grants that do come back through RSVP become larger and much more pinpointed as to what the needs are for the community. So it's a wonderful program where you not only get to bring your talent, you get to be matched to wonderful organizations, but also you're going to give back that data for what you're doing to know that it's growing community need and that how the grants can fit that need. So it's a terrific program. The Thrive program is something that I'm going to be highly involved with, and I'm so excited also to see it get off the ground. It's honestly going to be a fabulous program, and for RSVP, we can't wait. It's such a natural fit for anybody who brings these great career talents and life experience and put them out there amongst the organization. So thank you for what you're going to be doing with us, and I very much appreciate all that you'll do. If you have any questions about RSVP, please, my email will be at the end. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm most interested in speaking with you. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. So now we're just going to move into a really quick poll. So give me 1 second. I'm going to launch the poll here, and I just want everybody to respond real quick. Okay, we're getting some good answers. I think this is going to be really helpful. We'll share how you can get signed up. So yeah, a couple more folks. Anybody else want to jump in? Okay, I'm going to close the poll since we've got most of our folks responding here. So the majority of you do not have a volunteer profile on our volunteer management system. So this next piece is going to be really helpful because you may be wondering, you know, these opportunities sound great, but how do I get connected to them? And how do I get connected to the nonprofits that are in need? And how do I know? And for those of you that don't know, once you see the screen, hopefully you'll either be triggered like, yes, I've been here before. Oh no, I haven't done that yet. And we're going to make sure to send all of this out in a link for you as well. So let's see if you can see that. Okay, I think you can see the poll now. Sorry, I was talking and realized you couldn't see the poll. And so you'll be able to kind of log in and get started with the links that we send out. So I'm going to stop sharing this real quick. And I'm going to turn it over to our volunteer services team to just quickly share their screen to be able to show you how to go through the website. So let me stop sharing mine so that someone else can share theirs. So I'll let you do that real quick. Ursula, and Ursula, you're still on mute, just so you know. Okay, you're on the screen. Let me see. I'm going to ask to unmute. And if not, I can talk while you share your screen if that would be helpful to you at all. Is anybody else having trouble seeing Ursula's screen? Or am I the only one?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. It's all black for me.
Kelly, are you able to pull up our volunteer calendar and the volunteer profile?
Let me see what I can do. Be right back.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for bearing with us through all of these tech challenges. Like Christine said in the beginning, whoever's playing Zoom bingo, they're really getting some good points today. Happens to the best of us, right?
Okay, I've got the calendar up. Do you want me to share the screen?
That would be great, Kelly, if you are able to do that.
Thanks. Let me see what I can do. Okay, Ursula, can you unshare and then I'll be able to share mine.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Thanks, Amanda.
There you go. See if you can share.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Much
My pleasure.
appreciated. We're a team here.
My pleasure. Okay, can everybody see the screen? Volunteer opportunity screen?
Yes, I can. I'm seeing some head nods as well.
Yeah. Is Ursula able to speak, or what do we got?
I don't think so. So you can talk or I can talk, or we can kind of tag team, whatever's easier for you.
Tag team, go ahead and start, and then I'm going to jump in.
Perfect. So for those of you that were interested, which hopefully all of you are, this is our volunteer calendar. And so if you've never seen this before, we're going to send this out. It's volunteers.oneoc.org. So pretty straightforward if you want to visit there right now. But these are all of the opportunities that are available through our nonprofits, and they're all in need of volunteers right now. So you see here you have the opportunity to look at each of the different openings, as well as do searches on the left-hand side. So you can search by keyword, by your schedule, your city, your distance. And so these are all things that are available through our volunteer calendar portal with our nonprofit members. And Kelly, if you want to click in actually on the for volunteers where you're able to create your profile, if you scroll up, and then, yeah, maybe become a volunteer, sign up registration. Perfect. So this is where you would need to go in order to get started with any volunteer opportunities. So whether this is you wanting to sign up for the ones that are already on our website, or to get involved with OneOC through RSVP, through the Thrive program, or any of the other opportunities that we talked about today, we want you to make sure that you have a profile in here. So for those of you that already have a profile, we want to make sure that you filled out all of your skills in here. Because if you're going to be a skills-based volunteer, we want to know what your skills are. So you would put, any of your educational history, your work experience, the causes that you're passionate about, the interests that you have in terms of volunteering. And so you have that opportunity to fill this out kind of as you're going through. And for those that are interested, like I said, in some of the additional opportunities with RSVP, with OneOC, I'll include how you can get in touch with Kelly for RSVP, and then work with me to ensure that you're able to either start as a coach, trainer, or consultant. And it looks like Ursula is back on the call. So Ursula, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to chime in with, if you are able to talk. And if you're not, no worries and no pressure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Wow, this is like the third time. I think I win the bingo. I think I win.
I think you win.
So I literally was sharing my screen because my screen went black. So there you go. And then I got kicked off again. So yes. So technology volunteers are very needed. As you can see, this is our demonstration. I just wanted to, there's a lot of folks that have created a profile. There's some folks that have even expressed interest on our board interest list or our skill-based volunteering list. We do need you to go in, and I call it complete your resume. So in those skills, it's super important. When we are looking for a skill-based volunteer, the first thing that we do is we use our technology and we sort for those kind of skills. So let's talk about marketing. So we would be running a list of anyone that expressed interest in marketing, and those are the folks that pop up to us, and those are the ones that we reach out to first, because obviously they told us what they can do and what they want to do and how good they are at it. So the great news with the skills, if you've had some experience, you can just put that. If you've had tons of experience and this is something that, this is your wheelhouse, this is what you love to do, you can, put that you're really experienced in this area, or you can even tell us that you can teach other people the skill. So it really is a fantastic system, and I know it takes a little bit of time to, go in and express what skills you do have, or which skills you'd like to volunteer with, because maybe You know, my husband is amazing with pool chemicals, but he does not want to volunteer and help someone with a pool. I can tell you that. You know, so you might have an amazing skill that you don't want to give, but you have other skills, of course, that you would. It's totally up to you what you let us know. There's also places that you can upload certificates and those kind of things, I'm sure Amanda said. It's really important. We get a lot of folks letting us know that they're interested in being a skill-based volunteer, but I'm probably 10% of the people that reach out to us actually complete this part of it, and this is the way that we mobilize people. We get the list and we send them out to the nonprofits, or we reach out to you and have another, you know, well, in the past, right, a meeting, but now I guess we have Zoom calls, and then we can get you going. So we can help you with this. You know, we can even set up one-on-one times to make it easier for you to go through this process. It's pretty intuitive once you just start filling it out, but we really need you to do this piece. It's kind of the backbone of how we, as well as our nonprofit partners, can search for your skills. And if there's no skills indicated, then you're just in the volunteer pool, which we, of course, know that you shouldn't be because you're on this call. So any way we can help, and again, I apologize for getting kicked off 3 times. So, but yes, if you've got technology, I certainly need a volunteer, apparently.
Thanks, Ursula. And third time's the charm, right? So she's back there for the 3rd time. So Kelly, do you have anything else to add just about the volunteer profile or volunteer calendar? If not, we'll go back to switching the screen share again.
I'll start sharing the screen. Actually, you both had covered it perfectly, so thanks. Awesome.
And thanks everybody for bearing with us. So actually the last piece is really just if you have any questions. So I can certainly share this because the next slide actually does have our contact information. And like I said, we will be sending this out, but if you have questions, we would love to hear from you in the chat. If you are able to just type any questions in there, I can certainly read them out and the appropriate person can respond to them. And I know we hit you with a lot of information today, so we appreciate all of you being on the call. So we'll just wait a second here. Ursula, this might be a good question for you. So does OC need volunteer COVID contact tracers?
As I mentioned, you know, OneOC was activated by the county as the Emergency Volunteer Center, for those of you that aren't part of that world or haven't expressed in that. At this time, we have not been requested by the county to have volunteer tracers. They did ask us to put a request out so people could sign up in case that needs to be deployed. Right now we're in the red zone, and the way or the amount of staff with the county is able to handle it. That doesn't mean that might change. Knock on wood that there is not a resurge in COVID in our area. And I think that's probably why they wanted to have an interest list in case it got overwhelming in the future, that they could deploy those folks. So my answer is not at this time, but we do have an interest list for that in case the county requests that, and obviously then those folks would be immediately trained and engaged on how to do that.
Thanks, Ursula. And we're getting some great questions in here. So one of the questions was, can you talk about the board positions and other immediate needs that you mentioned? So on the volunteer profile that you fill out, you can definitely indicate your interest in those board positions, as well as on the actual calendar. There are some board positions that are listed, but Ursula, do you have any that you'd like to share now so folks can be, you know, keeping those in mind or reach out to you directly if they're immediately interested?
Yeah, so I'll try not to take up too much time because I'll start to get real passionate about this kind of stuff. So we have 2 organizations right now that I can, and there's more on our calendar, but the 2 that I'm thinking of that have been requesting for a while and still haven't found folks. One is the wooden floor, and in terms of, let's say, attributes, they're really looking for folks that had a leadership role as like a CEO, president, vice president, partners, community leaders, very mission-driven influencers, community connectors, of course, dedicated, innovative, strategic thinkers, and financial and fundraising stewards. So the wooden floor has an amazing reputation in our area. In fact, we work with Dawn, their executive director, on a regular basis, and she's actually part of our board, which is unique to many organizations. We have a nonprofit executive director sitting on our board as well. Amazing work that they're doing out in the community with young people, and of course they are supporting dance and the arts, which is always an area that we need additional help in, and of course also Arts Orange County. And Arts Orange County is really trying to get some folks to be ambassadors for arts in Orange County. So again, there's people that sit on, you know, certain like the Pacific Symphony Board, or of course many specific organizations, but just like OneOC, Arts Orange County supports all of those arts missions, and really is kind of the you know, the back office for all of those great arts organizations. So again, mission-focused, fundraiser, community connectors, strategic and innovative leaders, but they want folks that, you know, that want to promote the arts and really believe that, you know, that there should be that experience to everyone. And I know those are the kind of things that get cut in our schools. You know, unfortunately, and hopefully we'll have some kind of great arts going on with Zoom with our folks, with our youth and young adults right now. But those are 2 just that I know that have been, you know, actively recruiting. You know, I know Ronald McDonald House is looking to gain some more board members, Mary's Path, and some other folks. Again, if you're interested in that particular piece, please contact me right away because I am definitely doing interviews, you know, in the next 2 weeks for a couple of these positions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ursula, for sharing that. So the next question is, I will make sure that my profile is filled out. What would be the next step? So that's a great question. You can start looking for opportunities that are listed in the volunteer calendar, as Kelly showed. We'll also make sure included in the email is next steps for the Thrive program, getting involved with some of the OneOC services from the ODS side, as well as for the RSVP program that Kelly shared. So we'll make sure that everybody on this call has access to that so that they can get started with the opportunities that are of most interest to them. And we'll link the volunteer calendar as well. And then I don't know if anyone else from OneOC has anything to chime in on that, but if not, we have more questions.
Yeah, we'll definitely be reaching out to anyone on this call. Obviously, you've taken that next step. But as Amanda said, we'll send it all out to everyone, make it easy so it's all right there in front of you so you don't have to go searching. You know, we understand that can be a challenge as well. But yes, we're definitely looking to engage folks this fall.
Thanks, Ursula. The next question, is there a specific sign up for the Thrive program, or is it the same as the general volunteer profile? So we definitely want you to fill out the profile. Like at a bare minimum, everybody should fill out this profile, because then we know who you are, what your skills are, what you're interested in. And if there's not already a checkbox for the Thrive program, like I said, I'll make sure that there's a way that you can indicate that you're interested in being part of Thrive, and I'll be your kind of point of contact for that. Along with the other ladies on this call from OneOC. And
yeah, Amanda, unfortunately, I have not created a posting for Thrive. Obviously, this is our first time we're presenting it, but I can absolutely do that and include that in that email so that there's a specific link.
Perfect. Look at us making it even easier for everyone. Awesome. Okay, another question, is there a charge for the organization for securing the services of a volunteer? So all of the volunteer opportunities that you see posted in the volunteer calendar are by OneOC members. So there are membership dues that those organizations pay to be able to post, but they can post as many postings as they would like. They can post for as many volunteers as they would like. For specific things like board placement, we do charge for those services just because there is substantial staff time required, and we want to make sure that the matching process is, very tailored and effective. With the Thrive program, we ask that those organizations make the investment in the service enterprise virtual training. And so that is kind of their investment into going through this process and being able to then get a Thrive team of consultants. And that's kind of one of the perks or rewards of being part of that. And Ursula or anyone else, did you have anything to add?
In terms of the Emergency Volunteer Center, again, that's open to anybody, and that's those additional services. Like if there's a nonprofit that needs volunteers, and sometimes we're so busy that we can't even post, ask for volunteers. I know it gets to that point. So we provide all of those back office services to make sure that anybody that has critical needs as part of this pandemic or any other obviously disaster that would happen. Hopefully, knock on wood, there are not going to be any more disasters. But yes, that we would support that 100%, and that's our commitment to Orange County for sure.
Thanks, Ursula. Yeah, we definitely don't turn anyone away that needs emergency services, even if they're not a OneOC member. We encourage everyone, of course, to take advantage of the benefits that we offer the nonprofits with membership, but we never want that to be the barrier to receiving the support that they need, particularly if it's critical or urgent. So that's a great point. Last question. So after you fill out a volunteer profile, do you have an interview process? What types of common virtual volunteer opportunities are in demand? So I know with the board placement, there is some interviews because we want to make sure that the placement is the right fit. I think also with regards to providing coaching, consulting, being part of a Thrive team, we'll definitely want to schedule some time to talk with you to make sure that it's the right fit for what you're looking for. Ursula, do you want to talk about some of the virtual volunteer opportunities that we're seeing requests for?
Well, in terms of skill-based, I think it really goes back to those couple of areas, the technology, the marketing, and communications. Like I can't harp on that enough. The good news is, and maybe some of you on this call have experienced this, I believe our nonprofit sector tries to do amazing work, but sometimes we also can't give up what we've done in the past. And so sometimes we're not really open to virtual work, and we want you to sit right next to us, and work with us. And I know that's not, possible for everyone. The great news with this pandemic is organizations, especially nonprofits, have really learned to work virtually. So pretty much every skill-based project or board placement or things of that nature that we were telling you had to show up at this time and be in our office or show up at a board meeting at this time, and maybe you couldn't get there because of traffic, now is all virtual. So I would say 90% of the opportunities are now virtual. Every once in a while, a nonprofit, might ask, to have you come and tour their facility so that you get a real understanding and a real connection to, what they're doing, where they're doing it, and who they're doing it with. But even that, I think we're doing more virtual onboarding. So just know that, yes, on the Emergency Volunteer Center side, again, food insecurity is the biggest area. There will be hundreds of postings in the next month because we're moving into the season of giving. So in terms of, making, let's say, food kits and making, hygiene kits and all of those there will still be those hands-on opportunities that you can do virtually and then either send it in or drop it at the nonprofit. But from a skill-based perspective, and chime in, anybody else, if you think that I'm saying too much, I really think it's going to be 90% is going to be virtual,
Absolutely. And I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I just wanted to show this last slide. You can reach out to each of us at these emails. We will include that as well in our email. And I realize I spelled Jada's last name wrong, so my apologies, and I'll make sure it's corrected when we send out the email and we send out this slide deck. And so if you have any follow-up questions, you can certainly reach out to us there. Any closing comments from the OneOC team? If not, we can sign off for the day.
Just want to say I'm excited. This is like the prime group right here. So thank you very, very much for being involved with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for taking some time out of your day today to be part of this. We appreciate you bearing with us through our technical difficulties, but we hope that you got excited about all of the opportunities available to you to be volunteers and skills-based volunteers. So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you all soon.